Hey everybody, this is Ash for the Triple S League, here with more reactions to E3 announcements and press conferences and things and words and speaking. I'm here with Jamy Catalyst.
Please forgive him and me. It's kind of late. It's been a long day.
This is one of those days where you sit down to record and like 5 minutes before you sit down to record, your body just decides, hey, it's time to get sleepy and get a headache now.
No progress. No productivity. What are you thinking? Go to sleep.
So the big news in the Bethesda press conference, at least the news I was the most interested in, was Dishonored 2. And we were talking with Jamy, who's working with us on some voice work for a mod we're doing, and she's a big Dishonored fan. So we thought we'd get her thoughts on things. Jamie's a YouTuber and a voice actor. And a big nerd, I'm finding out.
Nerd, gamer, geek, I'm all over the place. You want to talk about the geekiest things, and I'm doing a voice for some reason. I'm there, I'm your gal. I'll talk about it.
Okay, speaking of voices, I hope this isn't terrible, but like, I watched one of your videos yesterday, and the minute you started speaking, I was like, holy crap, she sounds exactly like Applejack from the new My Little Pony show, which I only know because my daughters watch it. I'm not one of those guys that's into that show.
There was a friend of mine who begged me to watch it. I'm just like, I'm not gonna like it, but I'm gonna check it out so he'll stop talking to me. And then the next thing I know, I watched 2 seasons of it. I'm like, what has happened to my life? Like, it's entertaining, but
it is actually fairly well written and clever. And I will laugh at things while I'm walking past, while my daughters are watching it on the couch. But, I don't stick around. But that was my first reaction to your video, is you sound exactly like Applejack. The southern...
It's the accent. It's the southern accent, yeah. I try to pretend like it's not there, but whenever I become too overly excited or angry, if you ever watch my Outlast videos, you can really hear my accent, because the angrier I become, the stronger the accent is, which is very weird, but it happens. I can't control it.
You got pretty salty in your demo video for Resident Evil 7.
I did.
Yeah, spoiler alert, she gets angry. We'll have a link to Jamie's YouTube channel in the description below. But anyway, we're supposed to be talking about Dishonored. That was what we promised, folks, so let's talk about Dishonored. Dishonored is one of my absolute favorite games, and I only discovered it just a few months ago. But absolutely love it. What were your thoughts and reactions to what we saw for the Dishonored 2 stuff that came out at E3 just this past week?
I actually have a subscription to Game Informer. So, because I have a GameStop membership, so they send me a magazine every month. And I remember I think it was the month before last, I got a magazine that had this amazing Dishonored 2 artwork on it, and I was so excited to see it. And I was just like, oh, yay, finally a magazine that has something I'm really interested in reading about. And I read the whole article back to back, and pretty much the article talked about everything that they covered in E3. So I kind of knew everything, but, it's different because I got to see it. I got to see all the actions that they were talking about in the magazine, in the E3 preview, which was really nice. Some of it didn't look exactly how I expected it to be, but I was still pretty psyched about it. I mean, because, whenever I was introduced to Dishonored was actually maybe a couple months after it first came out. We rented it. We had I can't remember the name of the renting video game thing with the orange envelopes. Somebody will be angry at me for forgetting the name, but
orange envelopes.
They mail video games to you, and you're lucky if they work or not, because a lot of the times they're going to be scratched up. But anyway, so we rented it first, and I remember not liking it at first for some reason. I think there was a reason why. And then I was just like, couple months ago, we saw the definitive edition, for the PlayStation 4, and I was just like, I'm gonna give this game another try. And I did, and I was just like, why did I never not like this game? I thoroughly enjoyed it. I have played it at least over 3 times now. And I finally got whenever I first started playing Definitive was whenever I got the pacifist ending for the first time. It was just like, yay! Everyone's alive! No one dies! I was so happy. And then I started playing the DLCs with Dodd, and I was just like, I think I enjoy playing the DLCs a little bit more than the main game, because it feels like there was a little bit more thought with some of the actions and choices with the DLCs, and I was thoroughly interested by what was going on between Dodd and Delilah, with two of the different marked actually going head-to-head. They're two different groups going against each other, and that's why if I ever meet the main writer of Dishonored, before Dishonored 2 comes out, or if Dodd doesn't show up in Dishonored 2, I will ask him many questions as to what happened to Dodd, because I am now invested in him, and it makes me sad, because I know that he's out there somewhere, and we just don't know where in Dishonored 2.
I'd be very surprised if they didn't include Dodd in some way, shape, or form, even in, I mean, maybe as add-on DLC again. But I'd be surprised if it didn't feature somewhere.
Yeah, I will be thoroughly sad if they don't at least mention him, because Delilah's there. If in the preview, which surprised the crap out of me, that wasn't in the magazine. That was why that surprised me so much. Delilah shows up and she's touching Corvo, and I'm like, I want to curse, but I can't do that right now because I'm where I'm sitting. No, it's not that. It's not that was what was not angry at me, because I'm like, I killed you 3 times. I killed this witch over here, and you're alive again? What? Yeah, exactly. I can't say that right now. I'm like, what is this nonsense? Why are you alive?
Why are you alive?
I killed you.
Well, I killed Dodd in my first playthrough in the mission where you have the option to do
too.
That. And
yeah,
I was so pissed at him for killing the
me. That was my thoughts exactly.
And because even though I was going for low chaos, but there was just some characters that I was like, I just can't let you live.
You must die.
And then the Lady Boyle mission, where I chose the non-lethal option, but then talking to that creepy guy at the end of the mission, when he's like taking her away on the boat, I was like this was not better. Rather I just kill her.
Yeah, this was not better. I don't. I always feel bad about that. I'm just like, can't there be a third option where I don't kill her and I don't give her to the creepy guy? Can't I just put her on a boat and push it and let it take her off into the ocean? Wouldn't that be better?
Have her try to convince her to join the resistance or something. I don't know. Yeah, that's actually one of the few things I didn't like about the first Dishonored, and I say that very specifically because there's very little that I didn't like about the first Dishonored. But I felt some of the choices were a little bit limited, and sometimes you're stuck choosing between bad options, or where it would seem like the lethal way of going about things should actually lower your chaos, but it's just kind of assumed that the killing is always bad and always leads to more chaos, even if you're killing really, really bad people in self-defense, or to stop them from doing horrible, horrific things. And so
I completely agree. There was a lot of choices where I was just like, there should be more here, and I think from what I've read and from what I've seen, they're going to do a bit better, because mainly in the first Dishonored, there was always just the 2 decisions, the low chaos and the high chaos. But from what I've read and what I've seen of Dishonored 2, there's going to be at least 3 choices, if not more, at every point. And there's going to be a low chaos, a high chaos, and a neutral. So I'm actually quite excited to see if there's going to be at least 3 different endings. And maybe if there'll be a neutral point, because that's one of the things that always got me with the endings for Dishonored. The first Dishonored, there was 3 different endings. There was the good ending, the bad ending, and the worst ending. There wasn't an in-between there at all. I'm just you're either a really good person, or hey look, everyone's dead and it's your fault. I cannot believe there was actually a choice where you could let Emily die. I actually saw a video where somebody killed Emily in the end with a devouring swarm, and I was just like, you have no heart or soul, good sir.
Emily is, for me, the absolute heart and soul of that game. The minute she comes running up to you at
the beginning,
is right excited that you're back and let's go play hide and seek.
She kisses me on the cheek.
I just fell in love with her right away. She was, she was just, and I don't know, maybe it has something to do with the fact that I have 2 daughters, but I just really felt like this fatherly protectiveness, because, I mean, obviously there's some sort of pre-existing relationship, and I mean, spoiler alert, she turns out to be your daughter, but,
I actually always had a theory that she was Corvo's daughter. Like, even whenever I played the first time, I was just like, this relationship is not a professional relationship. This guy definitely has more going on. Especially with the way the Empress looks at you. I'm like, those are not, hey, he protects me eyes. Those are, hey, you're back. Let's, come here. Come hither.
The Royal Protector should have used protection. But anyway, the
Royal Protection.
The Royal Protector was just a little more than a protector. I mean, it's kind of sweet and endearing, and I mean, I wonder if they'll ever explore that backstory a little more, because the Empress,
I hope they do,
is just like she's there for 2 minutes and then she's dead, and then you get brief glimpses into what her relationship with Corvo is through, if you stop and read some stuff along the way. But Emily, though, like, Emily just grabbed me right away. She is the reason that you do everything in the game. So it was interesting to see their choice of making her a playable character for the second game, and I hope it doesn't lose that heart and soul, and you know, I hope that relationship between Emily and Corvo remains central, because that's just such a powerful story element that, like I said, it was the reason that I played the game. And like every decision I made playing the game, I was like, how's this going to affect Emily? What's going to be the best for her? And she doesn't, I mean, it's kind of weird to think about a fictional character that way, but that's just how real it felt. That's just how much it grabbed me. So,
well, that's how the best characters are written. Whenever they feel more like people instead of words on a page. Whenever they feel like a person you could go up and meet or have interactions with. The characters that you fall in love with the most are always the ones that seem the most realistic, because that's just how well written they are. Mm-hmm. As a writer myself who has, I've devoted a very big portion of my life to understanding not only people, but how to create people instead of just characters. There's always a difference, and you can really feel that difference, especially with video games, which I believe can sometimes be the superior form of storytelling if it's done right. So yeah.
I absolutely agree. And you look at some of the greatest games, and the games that people have really latched onto and have gotten worked up emotionally about. You think about Fallout 4 or The Last of Us, where they start off by getting you invested in a relationship, and then they tear that relationship away from the main character, and then which they didn't do in Dishonored. Well, I mean, they kind of did with Emily getting kidnapped, but then...
Yeah, it was also a possibility, you might have the chance to watch her die. That was a possibility, because I think one of the worst endings is she ends up getting thrown off the ledge, and she's hanging there, and I think you might... Because I can't clearly remember it, but I believe he tries to grab hold of her, and she ends up falling, and you can't rescue her, so you just watch her fall. And I'm glad I never saw that ending, because that would have broken me entirely. It's just like, no, this is not okay. I would have been very upset. I think I would have punched my monitor. But going back to what you were saying with the heart of the game and the feeling of Emily, I believe they're going to try and continue that connection. Because you watched the trailer from E3 as well, right?
Yep.
Because it feels like, whenever they walk into the room, and it starts with, it's a funeral for her mom, or maybe an anniversary, and the two are clearly still inseparable, and he's still doting on her, and still trying to protect her as much as possible. I believe that if you choose Corvo to play, it's probably gonna feel very much still like the first Dishonored, but if you choose as Emily, it's going to feel a little bit more different and on its own. I still think it'll be good, and I still imagine as playing as Emily, you'll probably go back to the base, which is this really cool ship, by the way. And if you go back in the first game and you listen to Emily, she actually says that she wanted to rule from a ship. So that was foreshadowing on the writer's part, which was ingenious, and I loved it. She actually got her wish, although I'm sure this wasn't exactly how she thought she would get it to come true, but, anyway, so I'm sure there will be times where she comes back from missions and she goes into the ship, and most likely where Corvo will be waiting for her, and probably almost every single time he'll just, be hovering over her, looking and making sure she's okay. I don't see any occasion where that doesn't happen, where he's not still the extremely protective father he's been thus far. Just a little bit slower than usual, just a tad bit.
Slow? I watched the E3 trailer at half speed because I wanted to try and take in as many of the little details as I could. And there's that one scene where he blinks behind the guard and kills him, right? What I didn't realize watching it at the normal speed as opposed to watching it in slow motion is he doesn't just kill that middle guard. He kills the two that are on either side of him as well, all within the span of about a tenth of a second. So I don't think he's slowed down. But it's crazy. Actually, if you go watch that scene in slow-mo, it's crazy what he actually does. Because he ends with his sword stabbed through the middle guard's torso, and the guard beside that guard, his head falls off.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know about him having slowed down.
Well, I was just trying to figure out how the old manness comes in, but apparently he's just like, I'm Corvo Attano. I'm never going to actually age. I'll look old, but that's just about it.
Yeah, he looks a little. Well, you never see his face though in originally. That was interesting to sort of get a perspective outside of Corvo, and he's actually a voiced character now.
They talked about that, actually. In the Game Informer article I read, the main writer of Dishonored actually took fan feedback. This was actually, Corvo and Emily being voiced was actually something that came from fan feedback. Because on forums and things, he heard that people didn't quite understand how Corvo reacted to things. It felt like he was kind of cold because he never really got to react to things because he wasn't voiced. You kind of just had to think of how he was reacting. It was just all led to the imagination. And the writer didn't really want that. He didn't really think of how that was going to feel. So whenever things came back around, he wants to make sure that you understand what type of person Corvo is, and he's making sure to, you get the chance to really feel who he is. It's making up for the lack of it in the first one. At least that's what he said. That's how they quoted him in the magazine. I'm just like, I like this idea. Because I've always wondered, I've always just imagined how Corvo felt whenever all of a sudden he's in the freaking void and there's this weird guy standing there like, I'm gonna give you powers. He's just like, okay. I just always imagined him like, just shrugging, alright, whatever. I'll do it, okay. I never could quite get a grasp on how he would react to that.
Well, that's interesting, because I'm not sure if I entirely agree. I like sort of being able to put my own spin on who Corvo was and how he's actually feeling and thinking in any given situation. The character is more developed if they give him or her a voice, and that certainly aids with character depth. But making Link a silent protagonist in The Legend of Zelda, I know the motivation there was that they wanted the player to be able to put themselves in Link's place and sort of imagine that it's them, and so they have their own thoughts and feelings about the situation. And I know, some players prefer that. I know there was a bit of controversy about Fallout 4 switching to a voiced protagonist as opposed to,
Yeah. With Fallout 4, it seems a little bit more limited. I still thoroughly enjoy it, and I still thoroughly enjoy hearing it, but in my opinion, the people that did that the best, where you still had more of an ability to kind of put your own thoughts and choices onto a character was some of the earlier Dragon Age games, with whenever they first started doing the voices. I still kind of think they did it a little bit better, even though there was less choice. I still felt like there was more choice of how you felt about the character.
I agree with Fallout 4. It's nice to hear the character speaking, but there are times when it gets awkward, because you pick a response and he says it in a certain way that it's like, that is not what I meant at all. Like, that's not what I was thinking when I picked that response. Especially when you pick the sarcastic responses. Oh, some of them are so terrible. It's like...
Yeah, some of them are pretty good, though, too, as well. But yeah, I agree.
Definitely been wittier than that. But,
it's like, you are lacking, good sir. I expected more from you. You disappoint me. they're your child. Like, you could have been better. What have you done? But that's just like with Fallout 4.
I gave you 8 points in intelligence, and this is what I get. Yeah.
But that's just like for Fallout 4 with mine. I actually had a character planned probably months and months and months before the game came out. I had a character all written up and planned. I had art done for them, because I thought I read that both the characters had military experience. I wrote the character where they, like, used to be a part of the army, and then they became a member of the FBI, and they were like an FBI agent, and I didn't even know that Nick Valentine, we were going to become investigators. She was already an investigator, and I was just like, this is perfect. And it was the character that she wasn't very motherly, wasn't very paternal. She was more of, because you remember the quote, oh wait, no. Were you the one that quoted that back to me, or was someone else?
I'm better with guns than babies. Yeah, that's,
That was the character in a nutshell. The character I had written didn't fit at all with any of the dialogue that was prepared. I couldn't choose any of it, and a lot of it didn't work out. And I was just like, this makes me sad. This isn't I can't do anything with this character anymore. So...
Yeah, there's the obvious downside for the voiced protagonist, but the upside being character development again. And I mean, I am looking forward to seeing more about who Corvo is and learning more about who Emily is now, especially 15 years later. She's gone through this traumatic stuff in her childhood, forced to grow up a lot faster than she should have been. I mean, it's kind of one of the saddest things about the game is you have this innocent little girl who gets her mother murdered right in front of her, and she gets kidnapped, and then they keep her at a brothel, and you hear that one line when you just after you've rescued her, you're on the boat, and she says to Samuel, or Samuel says something about,
adult things.
This is just grown-up business. Don't worry about it. She's like, oh, it's okay. I heard lots of grown-up business at the Golden Cat. And it's just, I think it's just supposed to be funny, but it's also kind of like, oh, yeah. Child, just,
Well, it's kind of exactly how Samuel reacted to it. He's just like, oh, I'm gonna concentrate on driving the boat now. I have no idea how to react to this. But I'd like to believe that in the 15 years that all of this has happened, I like to believe that maybe she, between now and then, she had a little bit more time to be a kid somewhere between there and then. Like, there had to be at least some moments where she got to be, a kid and enjoy and have fun and learn things and actually not be in environments that are so stressed and anxiety. I like to believe there were little peaceful moments that her and Corvo like to look back on, but I wouldn't mind, seeing or hearing or reading about some of those in Dishonored too. I don't know if we will get to, but I'd like to hear about them.
I would hope so. I that would be great if they explored her childhood a little more.
Because I'm like, you got a lot of blanks to fill in, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing the blanks get filled, please. Please, I'm begging you. There's actually something that showed up in the Bethesda store. There's actually 2 different things you can pre-order for Dishonored 2. There's actually one that's just the limited edition, which has a digital copy of Dishonored Definitive Edition. So if you pre-order, that's one of the things you get. But if you pre-order the Collector's Edition, they're only making so many of the Collector Edition. And I already pre-ordered mine, because I'm not even kidding, a couple of months beforehand, whenever I was reading the Game Informer article about Dishonored 2, I was just like, wouldn't it be cool if they did a collector's edition and Corvo's mask was in it? That would be amazing. I swear to God, you can ask my brother, that literally happened. And then they announced this, and I'm like, someone heard me. Someone heard exactly what I said. This is kind of creepy, but I love it.
They went out through the void.
Oh god, this, I don't even, no. Like, I like the Outsider enough, but sometimes I want to punch him in his smug little face.
He almost seems like, actually, that's another character I wouldn't mind learning more about.
Oh yeah, actually, there's a lot of lore that I learned that, the head writer, he was doing, I think, an AMA on Twitter once, and someone asked a lot of questions about the Outsider, and he answered a lot of questions. So if you actually go look at, the character wiki, you can find a lot more information about him than there was before.
You said if you pre-order Dishonored 2, you get the definitive edition of Dishonored?
Like, yeah, it says right here, the limited edition, Dishonored 2, so I think it might even be a number of people who pre-order, like the first couple, yeah, while supplies last, so it's probably going to be the first couple people that pre-order get to have the Dishonored definitive edition, and it's just digital. I always prefer a CD. If you're gonna get something, I always prefer a CD. But here is actually the stuff that comes in the Collector's Edition, which is what I'm getting. I know I already said that, but I'm very proud of it. Let's see, in addition to a copy of the highly awaited game, the Dishonored 2 Collector's Edition includes Corvo's mask replica and stand. And the mask is actual legitimate size. Like, you are literally holding the mask that if Dishonored was real, this would be the actual mask Corvo would put on his face, because it's the actual size. And it comes with a stand you can put it on. And I'm just like, yay, I'm going to put that up. I'm probably going to keep it in the box until I get my new place whenever I move. And I'm going to put it somewhere very particular, so whenever people first come into my place, they're going to be terrified. Just like, oh my god, what's that? And I'm like, it's Corvo's face. It's mine now.
I own Corvo's face. That's not creepy. I'm normal, I swear.
I'm not. That'd be the first proof, although you'd find that out as soon as you look at me. Yeah, let's see. The next thing, which is really cool, if you remember in the preview of Dishonored 2, you see Emily look at a ring. The actual ring also comes in the Collector's Edition, the one that she has, Emily Caldwell's ring replica and display box. This is wearable replica of Emily's ring. It is constructed of a zinc alloy and includes a premium black ring box with purple velvet interior lining. Oh, it looks so cool. So that is literally the ring that Emily wears throughout Dishonored 2. You get that as well in the Collector's Edition. Mm-hmm. So that's two things that the two main characters wear throughout the game that you have the legitimate size and actual replica prop of that you get in the Collector's Edition. Let's see, a full-color propaganda poster print. This limited edition full-color print is issued by the infamous propaganda office of Karnaca. And I was actually really happy whenever I found out that I pronounced Karnaca right the first time. I never get things right. Never on the first time. So yeah, that looks really cool too, but I'm not sure what the wanted poster is of. Like, I see a poster there, and it almost looks like it's of Delilah, but I can't really
It says
tell.
on the... Actually, at the top it says, "All hail the new Empress." At the bottom, it says, Her Majesty Delilah Caldwell.
Oh no!
So,
that's terrifying.
I think we're in for some interesting story.
I want to punch her in the face! I killed her 3 times already!
That makes me think, because you do see that one scene in the trailer where she's... Like,
she shows up.
She's trying to get all up in Corvo's business, and he brushes her off. But it's almost like somebody's trying to get her on the throne. So I wonder if they forge a marriage certificate or something and change her name to Delilah Caldwell, and then try to get rid of Corvo and Emily so that she can rule the kingdom or something. I feel like
that's a spoiler that we weren't supposed to notice with that.
Well, maybe it's just to get people scratching their heads and saying, what the hell's going on?
It's like, I'm not okay with this. Dodd is somewhere sneezing, being like, I have a feeling that someone I killed is alive again. I'm not alright with this. Like, Corvo's going to send me a strongly worded letter about how terrible the job I did. And I remember reading something about someone asked the writer of Dishonored about Dodd, And they're just like, what's Dodd doing now? I think, and it was just a joke, I believe, because he was talking about, it's like, well, obviously he took the whalers off to, like, some, peaceful island somewhere, and he started a vineyard. And now he makes wine. But I would actually be happy for that, because that means that he's sitting somewhere actually trying to relax, most likely still being adopted father to all these crazy kids, but still. And that's one of the things that I love, the comments that people have made, where people usually called Corvo Rat Dad, because he had all the rats, and then he was Emily's dad, and then Dodd was the adopted father assassin dad. It's like, that dad, he's not really the best dad in the world, but he's not a bad guy either. He's just not sure what to do with all these kids. He's also strange. And I agree with you, going back with what you said earlier, and I'll get back to what's the rest of the thing in the Collector's Edition just here in a second, but the first time I ever came across Dodd, I killed him as well, because I was just like, you killed the Empress! And then I played the DLC content, I'm just like, no, you can't kill Dodd! He's sad! He's just like, I'm sorry, he's so apologetic, you can't kill him, the poor guy! Have you seen the crap he's had to deal with?
As soon as we're done here, I am going to go pre-purchase Dishonored 2 and get the definitive edition, because I have not played the DLC for the first Dishonored yet, and
so I've been giving away hints.
Oh no, it's
crap.
fine. I've read about it.
Okay.
Last night I was sitting right here and thinking, should I buy the DLC or should I just go do a very hard mode playthrough? And I was going back and forth, and I realized that my Steam wallet was like a couple of bucks short to buy the DLC packs. So I was like, I'll just go play through the game again on the hardest difficulty, and I'll get the DLC later. So now I could get it for free, basically.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, I was thinking about doing a giveaway for the definitive edition, but you do PC, and I have PlayStation 4, so that wouldn't really work.
Which is kind of frustrating, because I had bought Portal and Portal 2, and then I went and bought the Valve
pack, yeah.
Valve pack had all their games, including Portal and Portal 2. And I tried to look through and see, like, can I give these games to somebody? Because I've bought them twice now, and you can't.
Yeah.
You can do that when you have the discs, but...
Yeah, I know, I've had some frustration with that myself on Steam, but I don't play a whole bunch on PC, because my computer is crap. I mainly on console. But let me see, there's just a few more things here on the Collector's Edition. Collectible Legacy metal case inclusive to the Dishonored 2 Collector's Edition. Limited edition metal case is decorated with the portraits of Empress Emily Kaldwin and Royal Protector Corvo Tano. It looks really cool, by the way. Digital Imperial Assassin Pack. Earn exclusive bone charms like Duelist Luck and Void Favor. Discover new lore and art, including an antique Sarkonian guitar and the book Goodbye Karnaka, A Musician Farewell. The Imperial Assassin Pack also includes 500 coins to acquire new gear and weapons within Karnaka's illegal black market shops. And then the last one is Dishonored Definitive Edition. I wonder... Yeah, it's a digital copy again.
So we should... there's so much to talk about with this game. We haven't even mentioned the powers yet. And
Oh, I'm so very excited to delve deeper into some of the new powers. I love the Shadow Walk. It looks so evil and ominous. And you can pick people up and rip them to shreds. That's just so amazing. I'm just like, I finally get to wreak actual havoc with these powers. It's almost as if, and I think this is one of the things that I've always wanted to talk to somebody about, is whenever someone gets a mark, it seems almost as if the mark itself, the powers you get from the mark, it reflects on the person's personality and training and things like that, stuff that they were already capable of, which I believe is connected to, you see Corvo and Dodd, and they have similar powers, and they already had, similar training and similar upbringing. They were both... Dodd wasn't an orphan, but, he grew up on the streets of almost the same exact place as Corvo did. And I think they went opposite directions. One of them was just like, I'm gonna kill people for a living, and the other one was just like, I'm gonna protect people for a living. But they literally had to learn, the same lessons to do that, so their powers kind of are similar, because they in themselves are sort of similar as well. And then Delilah, her powers are very different from anyone else's that we had seen so far, and then we see Emily, who has powers, and hers is gonna be pretty different too. So I like the idea that each person that gets a mark, their powers actually reflect who they are, instead of just, hey, here's some powers, just luck of the draw there, buddy. Hope you get some good ones.
That's an interesting that actually shed some light on Granny Rags. She was like made of rat swarms. Did you do that?
I tried to kill her. Oh yeah, I did, but whenever I replayed the last time, I tried to kill her 5 times during several times, and I'm just like, I literally can do nothing to you, this isn't fair. Because, like, I know who you are, I'm gonna kill you now. It's like, turns into rats. Dang it!
One of the things I'm really happy about is that there's going to be more options for non-lethal ways to take people down in the second game. Because that was really, that was a disappointing thing about the first one, is, you know, you're told right off the bat, you know, oh, if you kill people, bad things are going to happen. And then there's essentially 2 ways to deal with somebody non-lethally. You either use the sleep dart, of which you can only carry a limited amount, or you know, choke from behind and knock them out, which is not an option if they've seen you.
One of my favorite things, though, with the chaotic and non-chaotic, is if you read how certain people, like, I don't ever admit to this very often, but I read fanfiction-style stories, but, you know, I love seeing how other people write Corvo whenever, because you get to see them back to back. The people, whenever they write chaotic Corvo, he's aggressive and he's angry and he wants revenge for Jessamine. That's all he can see is getting revenge for her, and he sees nothing else. He just wants vengeance. And then there's the non-lethal Corvo, which is characterized as all he's thinking about is Emily. How will Emily react to this? I want to make sure that Emily understands that violence only breeds violence. I have to use a soft hand for all of this and not let my anger overwhelm me. I love seeing how people categorize those 2 different Corvos, and how sometimes they'll write them back to back and just, you know, see how those 2 different Corvos saw everything and how they reacted to all the different things. There's a lot of really neat stories that go into depth of how they believe a chaotic Corvo would have been, and how a non-lethal Corvo would have been, and what their responses were, and why they were doing this or that, and I always thought that was really neat. And that's one of the things that Dishonored, I know you've mentioned that, we've gone over that, one of the neat things about Dishonored, but I think we might still get to do that a little bit with Dishonored 2. They have gone over, though, that killing people isn't going to be as big a part of it as in the first Dishonored. It's gonna have a lot more to do with the choices that you make. I mean, you know, killing, it still has some weight, but it's not half as much as the choices that you make instead of the people that you kill.
Well, I like that too. Like, I like that better, because killing people in the game is not always... I mean, sometimes, if you're going for immersion anyway, and you're not willing to reload every time a guard sees you, you know, sometimes you might have to kill somebody in self-defense. For me, it's like the City Watch and the other guards, I try to always deal with them non-lethally, but there's some people, like various thugs you meet, or the overseers, they're bastards, and it's like, well... There's these guys trying to shake down Granny Rags for money at one point, and you deal with those guys lethally, and it increases your chaos and stuff. And I mean, it's all weighted. Like, killing a civilian increases your chaos way more than killing a guard or a bandit, I think. But you don't get to see that behind the scenes. All I know is I had low chaos for the first couple missions, and then it shot right up to high chaos, and I ended with medium chaos, and I was like, I don't know what I did, because I was trying not to kill people, but if you know...
But here's a funny little story dealing with that, and it might explain something. It was a glitch. There was, it was hilarious to me. It was not hilarious to my brother. My brother was playing, and he was actually playing low chaos, and he refused to kill anybody. And he was going back through, like, I can't remember what level it was, but the overseers were around, and he knocked everybody out. He was using the tranquilizer darts. And he was going back through after he had gathered some stuff, and he realized that one of the guards, there was blood, and he's just like, why is there blood there? And he went to go look, and the guard was dead. He tranked the guard, but the guard was dead. And he's just like, what? What? He was so angry. He had dragged me back into our game and he's just like, look at this nonsense. He was so upset. And I'm like, it's one guard. He's like, I worked really hard not to kill anyone. You don't understand. The game killed him. I was trying so hard. He was so upset. Now, I thought it was hilarious, but it was weird. That had to have been a glitch because he swore he used a tranquilizer dart. The guy should have been asleep. But for some reason, he was bleeding out and he was dead. And I'm just like, all I can think is either the tranquilizer dart went into his neck and like cut his like artery in his neck or something and he bled out even though he's supposed to be asleep, or somebody came back by there and it's just like, oh hey, an asleep overseer, I will take out my anger on this sleeping overseer, and accidentally killed them. Yeah. Which I don't blame them. I hate overseers. Like, I don't know how much lore you know about Dishonored, but me being who I am, I always enjoy delving very deeply into the lore of certain games I really like. But I actually read this whenever I was replaying the first time. But whenever overseers go to pick people or pick kids, they pick kids to be new overseers. They have somebody stalk them and watch them and see if they're, like, eligible because of something to do with the moon or whatever, and then they kidnap them from their home, take them, and, like, they make them go on this long trek to Whitecliff, and then they forcibly train them to become overseers, and then if they don't pass, like, the final test, they kill them. Like, they don't let them go, they kill them, they die. So only a few of them, these poor kids that get kidnapped from their homes, get killed if they're not up to overseer standards. And I'm like, this isn't a religion, this is a cult. Why is this okay? And the Fugue Feast. Don't even get me started on that. It's like The Purge. If you've ever seen, I've never watched those movies, but I've seen plenty of the commercials. So Fugue Feast is like The Purge. Like, it's the one day out of every year they pretend that day doesn't exist on the calendar. So since it doesn't exist, you know, everything that you do that day doesn't exist. So it's the one day everybody's allowed to go out and do whatever, kill, destroy, steal, anything. And then the next day, it's like it never happened, and they can get away with it. And, you know, Fugue Feast is something that this cultish religion actually allows to happen, actually wants to happen. They promote it. And I'm just like I said, this isn't a religion, this is a cult. They're just like, we're better than the outsider. And I'm like, no, you really aren't. Like, the outsider's a douchebag, sure, but he doesn't really... He's just like, I just want to be entertained. He's just a kid in the void that's immortal that just wants to be entertained. So, they're way worse. I don't like the overseers.
I kind of got that impression about the outsider, that he's kind of toying with things and just to see what will happen.
Well, I mean, he literally is just a kid stuck in the void that's immortal. Because once again, with the lore, you go deeper in the lore, you go back to the time, like, ancient Dunwall. I think even before it was named Dunwall, there was, people worshipped the void, but there wasn't a master of the void. They just worshipped the void. And they found this orphan kid on the street, and they took him in, and they fed him, and they cleaned him, they gave him all these rings. You can actually see the rings on his hand. They gave him clean clothes, and then they, like, did this ritual with him, and, like, the void ended up getting channeled into him, and then they drowned him. So the kid that is now the Master of the Void just used to be a human orphan kid that got in the wrong place at the wrong time, and now he's immortal, and he's just kind of bored all the time. It just is like, I'll give some power so, you know, things are more interesting. So that is who the outsider is. He's just this he's stuck as this teenage kid that's bored and lonely, and he doesn't have anybody to talk to, and he's just stuck in the void forever with all this immense power that he doesn't know what to do with.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite of Corvo's powers from the first game? And which one are you most looking forward to, most excited about for Emily's new powers?
Well, I think the power I use the most is Blink, but Stop Time was actually one of my favorites. And I actually used it to do silly things a lot. It's just like, oh hey, you got a grenade over there, let me put it over here. yeah, okay, you're gonna blow up now. Which I did not know, and I watched a video about this, and there was actually, you said something about speed running earlier. I watched a guy do the Mansion Boyle Masquerade mission in 4 minutes. He did the whole mission in 4 minutes. And I watched it, and I was just like, holy crap. He was good. He was good. I can't remember where I watched it, but oh my god, he had everything down to a science. It was amazing. But I did not know one of the things you could do with the tall boys is you can pause time, you can jump up, and you can just put a grenade right there, like right where the guy is on the tall boys, and run away, and as soon as it times out, it blows up. And I was just like, that is cool. That is maybe probably one of my favorite things about Dishonored, is they give you these powers, and literally the only thing that limits about the different combinations, the different things you can use these powers for, is your own imagination. I've seen some people combine these powers and do the most amazing things, and I didn't even know, for the longest time, I didn't even know you could activate 2 powers at the same time. I had no idea. So I didn't even know you could do combinations. But I think, stop time has to be one of my favorites. But it's kind of cool to possess dogs and rats and stuff. That's pretty cool, too. But I still think stop time.
I didn't use that one too much, honestly. But,
what was the one you used the most?
Definitely Dark Vision.
That's the one my brother uses the most. I never used it.
Aside from Blink, Blink is kind of a gimme, though. You have to... Everybody uses Blink. But, Dark Vision, so now I immediately upgrade it, as soon as I can to its highest rank, just because then I can, you don't just see where the characters are, you see where everything is, all the collectibles, you know where to go look for stuff and get more money and everything. But, so Dark Vision, and aside from Blink and Dark Vision, though,
I know one of the most morbid things... Yeah, that was always really cool, but one of the most morbid things about one of the things that you get is the heart, because for the longest time I did not know that was Jessamine's heart. And when I found out...
I did not know that until just now.
Oh, yeah, that's Jessamine's heart. I went around, I started listening to it, there's a lot of very interesting things you can find out if you stop and you listen to the heart in certain places, and she even starts talking about herself. If you go back to, I don't remember where it was, but there's one area that if you use the heart, she says something about herself, and that was when a lot of people figured out it was Jessamine's heart, but, after I found out and I heard her say that, and with the emotion that she said it, I can't remember what it was for the life of me, but it broke me to pieces. I'm just like, this makes me so sad, because he knows. I'm sure by this point, especially after she starts saying things about herself, there's even a point where she gets confused. Like, where am I? You use the heart, and she's trying to be aware, but she can't be aware, because she's just a heart. It's so gripping and morbid and sad. The outsider took Jessamine's heart out of her chest and gave it to Piero to modify, and now you use Jessamine's own heart to find, the runes and stuff, and I'm just like, this is not okay, outsider. This is not okay. Why did you do this? I hope there is an explanation somewhere that he buries that heart, because I really don't want it back in my hands in Dishonored 2. It's just like, please, bury it, no more.
It shows up in the trailer, though.
Oh, crap, I didn't see it.
It's definitely there.
Why wouldn't he bury it? Oh, God. I don't understand. I get it as a gameplay mechanic, but as a person who's really interested in the story, there should have been a point where he buried it. It's just okay, I am advancing past her death. I'm getting over it. I'm done mourning. This is me, going forward with my life and allowing myself to accept her death so I can take better care of Emily. But no, he's just I'm gonna keep the heart forever. This is okay. This is an obsession. This doesn't mean I need therapy or anything.
I thought the heart was mostly mechanical, but I'm okay with it being a real heart. I'm even okay with it being Jessamine's heart. But if you think about it as her soul is attached to it still and is trapped in there,
yeah, it is.
It's
still there.
That's kind of disturbing.
That's actually explained. That is literally what that heart is a representation of, and she cannot leave the heart until, you know, Corvo gives it back up, and apparently he refuses to, and I'm just like, that's a little selfish. Like, wow. Let her pass, for the love of God.
I wonder if that's going to play into the story for Dishonored 2.
I know it's an object that allows you to hear about a lot of secrets, and there might be a really big plot point as to why he keeps it, or maybe something within the story, like there's certain things you need to use the heart to figure out. Because, like I said, I used it to find out a lot of really interesting secrets within the game. I got obsessed with going to different areas and at least listening to the heart once, because there was a lot of interesting things she had to say.
So the new powers for Emily, because Corvo's powers are staying pretty much the same. I mean, they've been modified and upgraded, but Emily's got a whole new set of powers that are different from Corvo's. So of the ones we've seen, what are you most excited for?
Well, like I said earlier, I really like the ones that they showed, and I said it earlier. What the heck was it?
Shadow Crawl, or what's it called?
It's something like that. It's something along those lines. Because, like I said, it looks so creepy, and I love it so much. And I'm wondering if it's more than just the arms. If her whole body somehow gets distorted into this, like, shadowy, smoky form. And if that's the case, I want to see that in, like, third person. I want to see how all of that looks. Because I bet that looks really creepy and awesome. The domino one is also pretty interesting too. I guarantee you I'm probably going to use the crap out of that power, because it's, you know, it makes things easier. Like, hey, you over there, boom, 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 off you, okay, one guy over here, grenade, you blow up, you're all dead. Mm-hmm. Well, that's that issue taken care of. It's cool, very interesting. I really like that power. I loved reading about it in the Game Informer article. I was just like, oh, that sounds awesome. But I'm also looking forward to seeing the skill tree. Because, you know, in the first Dishonored, there was the 3 different upgrades, and, you know, you had to get them all to get to the final one. But they're talking about using a skill tree for Dishonored 2, so there's actually different ways you can upgrade powers. They'll do different things according to the way you upgrade them. And I'm actually really looking forward to seeing that and all the different ways you can upgrade. That feels like that gives more playability, because, like, this time in this gameplay, this power works like this and does that, and then in a different gameplay, in different playthrough, you upgrade the powers completely differently, and it does something almost entirely different. I just think that gives it more playability.
And you're going to be able to experience the game very differently from Emily's perspective, as opposed to if you're playing as Corvo. And not just from the perspective of their powers either. Because I think, if I understand the stuff I've read about it correctly, that the missions will play out a little differently for each character. So they'll be the same general mission, the same location and stuff, but things will unfold a little differently if you're one character as opposed to another. And they don't allow you to switch between characters during a single playthrough. If you want to play as the other character, you have to start at the beginning again. So that tells me that things are going to happen differently. The story's going to play out differently, so that you can't just swap out the character at any given point. So you're almost getting 2 games.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of games that did that.
I'm sure there is tons more we could talk about. This has been a great discussion. Thanks so much for doing this video with me, Jamie. I really appreciate it.
I really enjoyed it.
Check out Jamie's channel, Jamy Catalyst. I'll put a link to it down in the description.
I'm here every day, because I don't have a life.
That's why we do YouTube.
I don't go anywhere.
Yeah, so go watch all her stuff, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this, and if you've been enjoying hearing our thoughts on all the E3 stuff. It's been a crazy week. Oh, we've resurrected mod reviews, Fallout 4 mod reviews, so go check that out. I know a lot of people have been wondering when we're going to start doing those again. Thanks so much for listening, and hope you've been enjoying E3, and there's so much to talk about. I'm sure people are going to be talking about all of this stuff for a long time to come. Take care. Have a great weekend.